Hello, Mr. Frizzi.
Hello, Jordan.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Fine. Good, good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Could we give a round of applause to Mr. Frizzi? Hey. Yeah.
How are you guys? Everything okay?
I think they're a little bit traumatized, but they're okay. Can you see our audience?
Yeah.
Can you see our audience, Mr. Frizzi? Can you see them?
Can you see me?
We can see you. We can see you. Okay.
Okay. That's
Okay.
great.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Frizzi, for joining us. I have some questions for you. I'll just launch right in. My first question is, do you remember the first time meeting Lucio Fulci? I'm curious to know how your relationship developed and how you worked together as collaborators over so many films.
It began a long time ago, and it was for a Western movie, for Quattro dell'Apocalisse. And it was a Western, but it was in a way a Fulci movie, because there was a lot of blood, there was some violence, and so. But it was, and I was with my trio in that moment. I had my Fabio Frizzi Tempera trio. And then, some other movies with them. Then in the beginning of, in the end of the 70s, Lucio asked me to start his horror moment. And we started with the movie you have just seen tonight, which was Zombie 2. In Italia was Zombie 2, Zombie 2. And then abroad it was Zombie Flesh Eaters. And it was a long story, because when I started working with Lucio, I was 24, and when we ended collaborating, I was almost 40. So it was a long trip together, a long travel together, and we started just director, musician. But in the end, we were, I can say, really great friends. Then we lost each other, in every kind of job. Sometimes you lose your friends because they go doing other things, and then he passed away. But he left me really a great heritage, and it's something very, very important for my life of today.
Wow. Can you describe the presence of the man? I mean, from some of the actors and writers, some of which I actually contacted prior to the film, they said that he was a very intense man, very prone to anger. What was your impression of him? Was he a generous collaborator?
Yeah, no, Lucio, I usually say that privately he was very kind. He was, but when we were on set or recording music or doing the jobs, he was very, very, very direct. Very, no, it was not an easy man. But I think it depended from the fact that he knew very well the cinema, the mechanism of cinema, and he knew very, very well what he wanted to give to the audience. I remember many times, maybe I was trying to write something more light, not for horror movies, and he usually told me, Fabio, they want to have a big sensation, strong sensation, so you have to write in that direction.
Right, gotcha. And my next question focuses more on you. With the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it would seem to be quite a fertile period for Italian musicians. Incredibly talented composers such as yourself, Ennio Morricone, Nino Rota, Bruno Nicolai, Riz Ortolani, and Pino Donaggio are all highly revered today because of the incredible music personality they injected into their own films. How have you cultivated your own musical personality throughout the decades? And what is your own individual process behind scoring each film?
Let's say that obviously this moment was a very interesting moment basically for Italian cinema, that nowadays, for example, is in a big crisis, maybe more or less like everything in the world about cinema. But those composers, I knew many of them, and they were in a way influencing myself. For example, Nino Rota, he was really a great composer in every direction. He wrote beautiful songs, but he wrote also symphonies and everything. But so let's say that my, you know, our job is like a craftsmanship. I mean, we work like people who work the wood. I mean, every single moment you have to cut, you have to work on things to do them become exactly what you want. The relationship with the images is very important, and so year after year you start understanding which is the relationship between the movie and the music. And this is very different from other kind of music writing, because if you write a beautiful song, you just listen to the song and you must enjoy. When you write for movies, you must write something which goes along with the images, with the story, with the idea that the director and the producer have to give. So my way is still the same from the beginning. I mean, I take a recorder. Nowadays is my telephone, obviously, and I am with my piano or with my guitar or with my synthesizer. I know I have read the script, and I talk to myself, telling, now we have to write this theme for Jessica, let's say. Who is Jessica? She is. Then I started to write something to this idea, no, of person, and then and I speak to myself. Here we can do like this. Then I threw away the situation for some days, and I take the tape after a while, and I start to understand what I was telling to myself, and writing obviously on the paper the first ideas. Then obviously in the end, nowadays we have the computer who helps us a lot for writing on sequences, obviously, but also writing for orchestra, for instruments. And in the end, we let's say that today the electronic is very important to us, but never forget that the good musicians are basic for us. A good theme played by a good musician is surely better than playing with a keyboard.
No, very nice, very nice. It actually brings me to my next question. I saw an interview with you very recently where you described your own musical scores as a grandmother's recipe of sorts. And you know, to me, Italian music sort of has classical kind of roots with the craft, but you know, when you reach the 70s and 80s, there's sort of an injection of pop and rock and roll, and you see that in the film with sequences like the Conquistadores rising from the grave. It becomes like a pop music nightmare. And then even the death of Mrs. Jones, you know, the splinter to the eye, there's a real violence to the soundscape. And I'm just wondering how you compose around those images, specifically those scenes of violence where you have to make a musical score that amplifies it.
Obviously, the most difficult thing is to get a style, to have a personal style. This is but I think in every kind of artistic work, but also in life. I mean, when you know that you can be recognized, you are very happy. No? So the beginning of horror was not so easy, because in Italy I had many experience, but also on comedies, on other genres, and the first time was really tough. It was really very, very, very difficult. So obviously I was in love with pop bands, rock bands, prog, a lot of prog in my youngness, and I had to find the ideas. So let's say that starting from some passions that I had, I could start to build every single thing. I think that maybe people who know quite well my career know that the theme, this theme that accompanies the end and everything very important in Zombie 2 was an idea that it was quite similar to one of the maybe you know Godzilla from Cozzi.
Big fan.
Yeah, remember. Cozzi asked me and my friends, I was with the other two, asked me to write something like a hymn, because you know the figure and everything. And when I started writing music for Zombie 2, I had this idea in my mind, like a hymn, a terrible, no, a horror hymn. So we started with my musicians, with keyboards and everything, and I wanted to do something really quite classical, but linked to the sounds of the new era. And that was, for example, you were telling me about the eye, you know, the eye. Yes. You have seen the terrible scene of the poor wife. In that situation, for example, I had an idea. Many know that I love Beatles, and I love the melting of rock and classical in that situation. George Martin wrote such beautiful things for strings, and so my idea was to go. There is a song called "A Day in the Life." And in A Day in the Life, you know, there is at the end, and the strings play something that grows till the end, bam, with the piano. And that was the idea, the starting idea. I wanted something that could have a ostinato, we say, you know, with piano, with drums, and I added something like Tom, like many solos of Tom, and growing. In my situation, there were a lot of electronic sounds, but the idea came from there, and I can say that the effect was quite good. Yes, my grandmother's recipe. Yeah, I think that we can go ahead millenniums, but the good of doing a job that you like is sitting down, having ideas, and minute after minute letting grow your idea. This is like somebody who cooks good things to eat, but it's always the same. In my situation, I love music, you know. I think that you can believe me. And every time there is a new thing to do, it's something that I accept, and I want to do it the better.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but for people like Fulci, you know, there seems to be a real symbiotic relationship between music and image. I mean, it's a lot like Fellini, or, you know, even Fellini working with Adriana Celentano, so did Fulci as well. It's an interesting relationship that they have with music. But I want to ask you, like, you know, do you have a memory of Fulci that you're quite fond of, or something that really sums the man up, you know, as it were?
Yeah. But you know, there are many small moments. You know, life with Lucio was basically on set, in a recording studios, and see the situation like this. Maybe the much stronger thing that I can remember was one of the worst moments I had with him, because it was very, you were telling, no, Lucio was not an very easy person. So, but this is fun. Telling today is very funny, but thinking of this, it is not fun at all. No, we were in maybe you know the City of the Living Dead, no? That we call Paura nella città dei morti viventi in italiano. And we were there at the mixing point. So, you know, in my themes, very often there is some nostalgia. There is some. I love this kind of this page of the human being. I mean, everybody of us has something to remember, something that is not always so sweet, but it's you can appreciate. So my idea was, you know, there is a symmetry, there is a subjective in the a walking. There is a good light in the morning. It's very something. Yeah, we are in a symmetry, but it's quite romantic according to me. So my idea was to start with a theme with the strings and flute, and then when there is the priest who he falls from the tree, obviously it changed. So I write this music, but we do not verify this point, and we go to mixing. So we start. We are sit beside, and the mixer starts. The image arrives. My song sounds and plays. Bella, very so beautiful. When Lucio hears that the song is not aggressive like he wants, he becomes crazy, totally crazy. And he told me tons of things that I could not translate in your language. So I was really afraid that. But there was the editor who told me, okay, Fabio, we go to the Moviola and we change the music. So it keeps everything, we go there. And after 1 hour, the scene was perfect with another of my themes.
Beautiful, beautiful, there you go. I mean, going back to what you said about your passion for music, obviously you have a huge regard for it. I'm just wondering, throughout all your decades of, filmmaking and composing, how have you managed to keep up that spirit and energy behind each film project?
You mean I could go for decades doing this terrible job?
Yes. No.
No. I would say just one word, and I will explain. Passion. I think that everybody who has the great chance to do a job that he loves, he loves terribly, like a woman. Like I always say to my fantastic wife that my life is half and half. Half is for her. I love her terribly. But the other half is for what I do every day and every night, my music. So I can tell you that till today, I am 69, and you can see an old man. But still, if sometimes you have to mix and you have to do all night mix, and obviously maybe the morning after I will be a little more tired than when I was 25. But I can tell you that it is always a great joy. And when I have then there was the tape. Now you have the song on the computer. But when I hear, I sit down and I hear, I'm not always, I would, every time I would just add something, change because it's like a boat that you would never leave because there is always something to do more. But at a certain point, you have to close your work and go. But then when I sit down and say, oh, wow, this is fantastic. So this is, I think, is the only thing. Nowadays, I'm so sad because there is not so much movies to write music for, but I have some American independent who work with me they love to work together. And then in Italy something there is, but I mean, I love writing music, but most of all writing music for movies.
Beautiful, great response. I'm wondering, how do you think Fulci would have responded to his fans today? I mean, there's huge followings for his work, and he is absolutely revered. What do you think his take would be on it?
No, I can tell you that very often when in particular when we go around, you know that we did a lot of tours in America and many other things in the north of Europe, and we would like to come over there. I would really love to come in Australia.
Come. We'll do it for you. We'll set it up.
Just wait a little bit. We have to end something that is happening.
Okay.
When it's over. No, and you can imagine that I very often think about Lucio because our relationship nowadays we are so friends with Antonella, his daughter, and she often says, you know, for my dad you were like a child, like a son, and there is a fantastic relationship, and sometimes. When we are there, we are in a great theater, also in a small club, and people are excited and sing my music along with the band. I often say, what would Lucio say? And the answer is Lucio was always come si dice, auto-ironic, no? Molto so maybe he would say, nah, it's. No, they are guys there, but I think he would be very, very, very happy and honored for this because you know there is something very strange that you probably know very well. We had the great, incredible directors in Italy, no? Like Fellini, you were telling before, like many. But it's incredible that nowadays, in these days, Lucio is one of the most loved in the world. And not only for horror, in particular for horror, but not only. And this is for one that I consider a great friend. It's something so beautiful, I think.
Great. And Fabio, what are you working on now? Is there anything that we can look out for? Are you coming to Perth?
Yeah, now let's say that there is a movie that is ended but had some problems after the end, which is a remake of Castle Freak.
Oh,
and
wow.
And I can tell you, my music is fantastic. No?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I should not say. No, it's something very beautiful, but they had some problem with distribution, so we are waiting for it. It's I ended just before the virus in the end of last year. So let's hope that it comes. And then I have a longer collaboration. Maybe somebody of you know, with a label, an American label called the Cadabra Records. Mm-hmm. And Cadabra works on Lovecraft, which is read and I write the music for this. There is something that is going to come out for Christmas, and it is the festival. It's one of the most beautiful stories by Lovecraft with my music, and I can tell you that I love it. Then maybe a lot of great ideas that we hope when we will be in the new normality we can do. I just want to give you something that nobody knows because we are so far, but in this moment we are so near.
Thank you.
No, really. But keep you for yourself. all
sure. Yeah. No worries.
Maybe you know that some years ago, 3-4 years ago, I wrote the Beyond the Composer's Cut. Which is a new reading of my music for the Beyond, and we did a lot of concerts with the screening and the band or band and orchestra playing the music, and it was a great success. People love. Also Antonella Fulci told me it's a new way to see this movie. Okay, so many people ask me, but why don't you do another one? And I can tell you in your ear, one ear for each.
That's it. Yeah. No one can hear us.
And I can tell you that I'm starting these days to write a new composer's cut of the movie you have just seen. But don't tell anybody.
Beautiful. No, thank you. That's fantastic.
Okay.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Mr. Frizzi, yeah, I want to thank you again. 4 or 5 years ago, I was walking to work with the Beyond soundtrack in my ears. I would never have thought I'd be interviewing you right now. You've made a small dream come true. I'm sure many people in this room appreciate you being here. And, thank you for all the beautiful work. And I hope more beautiful work comes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Enjoy your night. We enjoy our afternoon, and really hope that one day we will meet over there. Okay?
Yes, let's do it. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, goodbye.
Ciao.